We're live. Are we live? Okay. Can they? They can hear me? No, they can't hear. They can hear me. They can hear me. Oh, it is all me all the time. Do you know why? That's what. See,
Hey, all right. Can they hear Sean? Can you hear Sean? Can you hear Sean?
yep, they can
It's
hear you now.
all right. Awesome. Okay, there we go. All right. Hello. It was
And welcome to technical
I had
difficulties.
well yeah, I had this problem on Friday. Is heard now. Yay. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Hi guys. The computer did an update on Friday. I was actually having this with Dinks with Kinks. I had to reset everything, and so yay, hey,
Yay,
welcome
updates.
to Waking Up with Nana and PepPep. I am a Roots, and with me is my wonderful co-host Sean, also known as PepPep. And we are here and we are talking growing up in the Southern Baptist Convention in the Southern Baptist Church. So here is our disclaimer and our wonderful warning. We are not licensed therapists or counselors. This is just a podcast on our experiences, our thoughts, our points of views, our what we have grown up with, how we have handled that, whether be it healthy or unhealthy, and how we
Lots of
are
unhealthy.
working lots of unhealthy, how we are working our way through our traumas and building into trying to be better people. We are not bashing anyone's faith or religious beliefs. We believe that religion and faith are both very beautiful things when done in a very healthy and constructive way. We did not grow up with that mindset. Actually, our faith and religious experiences were very inconstructive, not constructive.
Not
not
healthy.
very not healthy. So this is just
No.
mine and Sean's. We both grew up in the Southern Baptist church, and that is a Christian evangelical fundamentalist belief system. We also refer to it as a cult. If you look up the
We
definition of a
do.
cult and then compare that to some of the fundamental doctrine that we in the Southern Baptist Church, you are going to find
There might be some
might
similarities.
see some similarities. So don't at us. We are just two people who are sitting here trying to work through our trauma as the best we can
Welcome.
and try to make you guys feel like you aren't alone. So, and this is not Skydom. I've been here, like, should I know that? I feel like I should.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
I've actually heard it a couple times on TikTok, but is that God? Oh my God! I just thought about it. Is that God Skydom?
Oh, I bet it is. Oh my God.
From now on, it's gonna be
That's
Skydom in my.
It's gonna be. You can't help that. Wow. Thank you everyone for.
Thank you for opening my world up. Now I learn new things. Yay! Okay,
So I wondered.
Yes, you wondered
Sorry.
what? No, go ahead.
I wondered if this was specific to Southern Baptist, or maybe because Southern Baptist tends to be more of the evangelical fundamental, along with a few others, or if it spanned other denominations. And I was talking to my cousin the other day about our podcast. My cousin and I are pretty close, and she grew up Methodist.
How close
And
are you, Sean?
we're she's my cousin, so don't do that. Really? That is not no, that is not something that I wanted.
I only say that because I because LB loves me. I only say that because I know
She
she'd take a
does.
joke. She would
Yes.
just be fine.
She'd be like, ah. She got Methodist, and very much in church all the time. Heavily influenced when she was young, and I was talking to her about some of our topics, and she went like, "Holy cow, that is my childhood!" Like, So apparently, her and I, though different denominations, we had some very similar
Well,
experiences.
that like religious trauma is not just with the Christian evangelical. It
Mm,
spans religious trauma. That is why
yeah.
it is religious trauma and not a specific like Christian trauma. It
Hmm.
does span over different denominations because different denominations and different sects and they have different subsects and it's not just us. And so it's not just we just happen to be raised in these other Baptist. That's why we are doing this together is because we were raised in a the same way with the same belief system.
Yes.
So I mean,
Small town church.
right, which is why it also reaches a lot of different people because they have very similar experiences even though they were not raised necessarily as
Hmm.
a Southern Baptist. So yeah, so fun times. So
Oh,
okay.
let's unpack.
Let's unpack. Okay, so today we are talking a crisis of identity. Our identity, finding out who the fuck we were after we
Hmm.
decided that this was not the church was not it.
Something's wrong in the state of Denmark.
uh, really?
What?
Oh, you
Yeah.
want to class up this pod? You want to class up this podcast? You want to class?
Yeah.
Stop it! Stop it!
What? No.
For
I,
those of
I'm
us,
just. I'm here for the
for
Sky
those
Dome.
in our audience who don't know what that's from, why don't you tell them?
It's from Shakespeare. That's all I know. It's from Shakespeare. It's from
You
one of
don't
his
know?
plays.
Oh my God, Hamlet.
Yeah, exactly.
Hamlet.
Hamlet. Hmm.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, who are we? Who are we? Um, this was one that was really. This was a major. We were going to talk about this last week, but then Mother's Day, so we unpacked. Hi, Bonnie. Yes, Shakespeare. See, right?
Hello.
Like
Yeah. I
he
knew
was
she
trying.
knew it.
He was trying to
I
class
wasn't
things
trying to
up.
class it up. I was just spouting some something.
Oh, okay. So we like this was a big one for us that we actually have been talking about a lot since especially since Sean had decided to leave the church cuz Sean
Yes.
has decided to leave a lot. Also the Lion King. What there's that.
Oh my god.
What? What? Disney's stealing from literary works? Stop it.
What?
Um and so it was one where I had and still to this day like I still struggle with about who am I when
Hmm.
you are indoctrinated from birth basically when you are indoctrinated into this school of thought this fundamentalist evangelical school of thought the way that we were from birth and then you finally start because everyone goes through a identity crisis and
Yes.
that's what the teenage years are for you go through different various stages as a little kid when you
Hmm.
start becoming independent from your parents when you start coming super independent as teenagers then when you get in your
Hmm.
20s and you go through different stages of identifying and just coming to terms with who you are
Hmm.
um that is much more traumatizing when you are part of a religious school of thought the way we were because you weren't allowed to explore any of that. You were
Nope.
told exactly who you were, who you had to be, and how to do it. You weren't
And
allowed
yep.
any personal anything.
Variation. There was challenges were bad. Challenges were not good. Challenges were bad. Growing up, they controlled who you talked to. It wasn't overt control, but it was still control. It was covert control. You spent all your time with the youth group. You spent all your time with the people in the church. So you spent all the time with people who shared your thoughts. So it further beat that indoctrination. It further indoctrinated you in whatever it was that they were teaching you. So if you at some point expand beyond that, that's when things start to there's little the armor starts to crack. The armor starts
Oh,
to crack.
the armor of God.
The
The armor of
armor, the
God.
armor of the Sky Dome starts to crack. I'm just gonna keep using it. It's just fun. This now that I have this, this is fun.
Now that's gonna have to go on my store as a church.
It can we work? Never mind. That's a whole different
Right, that's
topic.
a
All right.
whole different podcast. So, but yes, I mean, we were controlled with who we were allowed to talk to, and we weren't
Hmm.
allowed to be anything than what they told us to
Hmm.
be. And you always, I don't know about you, but for me, I know that I started questioning that, especially when I started having those sexual urges,
Ooh.
when I
Hmm.
started, like, as a
When you started giving into the
female,
flesh,
I
you
started
started giving
like,
into the flesh.
if you knew how
Yeah.
many when I first started masturbating, and they were like, I would feel the rack of guilt. And then, like, when I
Right.
started, like, rediscovering that I liked girls, and, like, it's like, oh, no, that's not right. Like, that can't be
No,
right.
something's
Like,
wrong
no,
with you.
I always felt so dirty and so bad. And it's like,
Hmm.
and that's when I leaned hard into church. I really leaned hard because when I started questioning the teachings is when I tried to
Hmm.
overcompensate and lean hard
Yes.
into be more active into the church. And I because
Hmm.
I'm obviously something's wrong with me.
Yes.
And what we all had that aha moment. Some of us sooner than
Hmm.
others.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
um, I had my aha moment actually happened when I was a senior in high school and freshman in college, and I went to church, and it's like, do you remember the song "I Can Only Imagine"? That song.
Yes,
Now,
I remember. Oh
I'm a
God,
music
yes.
I was going to be a music major. I was a musician, so music was is a huge part of my life. And so I knew all sorts of music. All sorts of, like, I listened to all sorts. I mean, but of course I mostly listened to the Christian ones.
Of
But
course. Yes.
I
Hmm.
I I was a typical teenager and had all the different genres of music. And my I remember my youth pastor saying, I can only imagine, and so many Christians were toting how great that song was and how it was playing on the radio and
Hmm.
how it was reaching people to God. And I was on
Yep.
board with that. I was like, yeah, you're
Sure.
right. Reaching out and then my youth pastor had a sermon about how that song was of the devil. Literally
Are
said
you
that song was of the devil.
serious?
And oh yeah. And then I
They must
went,
have had a field day with God was one of us. I bet they just absolutely freaked out.
oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I raised my hand, and he was like, of
Uh-huh.
course, he, like, had this look of, "Oh, what the fuck is she gonna say now?" Like, he's like,
Yes.
I went, "How is that true? How can that be true
Hmm.
if
How
it's
dare you?
how?" He's like,
Hmm.
"Well, what are you listening to the song before and the song after? Like, those are secular songs. Those are the devil songs, so
Secular.
obvious." Yes, so it's not
Yes.
Christian. And I went, but wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you're telling us that we have to go out into the world to reach these people that might not hear the word of God. So you're telling us that we need to go out and teach the word of God,
Hmm.
and you will go out and reach these people who may not hear the word of God. So this song is doing exactly what you're saying we should do,
Hmm.
but you're calling it of the devil? Like, you're
Hmm.
saying, like, I don't understand. And that's my aha moment of, I don't believe this shit anymore. Like, you're
Yeah.
contradicting yourself. I don't believe this shit anymore. I can't. And I stopped going to
You are.
church. I was like,
We're
I'm gonna pick up some
raised.
shifts on Sunday. I'm gonna start working on Sunday.
We were raised to be better than, holier than. We were like, oh, those are the sinful people, the dirty people. You were raised to look, though they would tell you not to, you shouldn't, but the lessons they taught you forced you to look down upon people. Like, you're supposed to be in the world but not of the world. You're supposed to reach them, but you're not reaching them on their level. You're supposed to reach them while you're up here. You're supposed to be reaching them and
I mean, I
converting
am
them.
I am better than some people, but that's beside the point.
Have you have you not been put up on a pedestal enough that you gotta?
mean. All right, I'll climb back down. Hold on.
We'll
Well,
give
okay,
you a
what
couple
was
minutes. Hold on.
your your oh fuck moment? Your aha
Hmm.
moment was a lot later than mine. So, what was
Well,
your real moment like that you
see, I wouldn't say that my aha moment was much later than yours. I had an aha moment my senior year. My senior year was the first time where I started to question and challenge what was going on. Um, I just happened to, and then I had in college I had that come back to Jesus meeting kind of thing. Um, my revival, my return lasted much longer than yours did. That's where it really started. But my senior year, that's when I started questioning things. It's because my senior year, that's when I started having sex, and that's when my girlfriend at the time um, said that she might be pregnant. And so then the topic of abortion came along. That was the Arug's. Oh, let's have the tea. This tea is good. This is sweet. This is like Bojangles. Mm-hmm.
keep going?
Tell me more.
Keep going.
Continue.
I'm
Yes.
listening. Continue.
So that's so senior year of high school, plans for college, all that stuff. Girlfriend says she might be pregnant. That flips your world a whole lot. So there was discussion of, well, have it, don't have it, abortion, not. And all of a sudden, all these things that I'd been taught about, oh, abortion's wrong, pro-life, blah blah blah. I think we're gonna circumvent that a little bit, so we don't end up spending the rest of the, yeah. Um, all of a sudden, all of that was being questioned. Like, holy crap! Wait, hold on, is that really wrong? Is that bad? Because if that's bad, then she can't. Then she shouldn't be doing that, and I shouldn't let her do that. Um, and so, yeah, exactly. Again, let her do that. Sorry. Yeah, trauma. I know. I'm not doing a very good job of skirting in my. So that made me question everything. Now it turned out that she wasn't pregnant. And so, but that is the first time where I went, holy crap! Maybe everything that I'm being taught isn't necessarily right. So yeah.
I think I think what I sort of want to emphasize to a lot of people who watch this or maybe watch this later or whatnot is that for those who weren't raised the way we were raised, and this is true for anybody raised in a specific type of mindset, whether in a controlling type of mindset. You're going to be
Hmm.
this person, you're going to follow these rules, and you're going to do that and not veer off from that. You're not going to vary from this at all. And that's sort of your identity. You don't have to
Yeah.
explore. That is your identity. That is who you are. You are
Hmm.
a that is, and how devastating and how world crashing that moment is. It is like you see the cracks and your brain, and you see the cracks and you try to navigate through that and just around it and
Hmm.
try to just, you see the foundation crumbling, and then all of a sudden there's that breaking point
Yep.
of your entire world and the floor falls out from under you.
Hmm.
And how you have this moment of, I don't believe this anymore, no, I'm not going to do this feeling of empowerment
Hmm.
immediately followed by this fear and
Oh
this
yes.
emptiness
Guilt.
and this guilt, and it can send you, and I know it sent me into massive depression. It
Hmm.
sent me into massive trauma coping mechanisms. That's
Yep.
where a lot of people become alcoholics. That's where they become addicted to things. I I personally used sex as a coping mechanism because of the oppression on that. Like I literally, like I hurt people. Like you, and I was broken. I
Hmm.
was, because I was taught that I was going to be this person and I was going to be, if I wasn't this person, and then you start to wonder, are you a good person? Are you a bad person? Because
You question
I
everything.
you
You question
literally
yourself.
your whole, it's
Hmm.
like your whole world all of a sudden is not what it seems, and you're just like, and
What
anybody come,
else?
and those
Mhm.
who weren't raised that way are just like, well, shouldn't it be just instantaneously better? No. Actually,
Mm-mm.
that's why a lot of people stay in the church, stay in cults and all this stuff, because it's what they
Yep.
know. It's safe, it's comfortable.
Yes. Yes.
Because finding
Absolutely.
out who you are is fucking hard. And it's fucking hard when you're not
Yes.
in the church. Questioning what you believe in, questioning what you like, questioning
Mhm.
everything, and then saying, hey, I like this for a little bit. Now I don't like this. And realizing that that's
And that's
okay. It's
okay.
not,
Yeah.
that fucking sucks. And that
It
sucks. And
does.
somebody just,
Yes.
how the saying, I don't want an adult today. Like
Yep.
that's the whole,
Mhm.
that's, I don't want to people. I don't want to be my
Nope.
own person. Somebody just tell me what to do, how to
It's
do
easy.
it.
It
And
is so much easier. Yeah. Everything makes sense. There's no like you question it. The people that stay, people that don't experience, it's simple for them. They don't question. They may have this kernel in the back of their head, but they squash it. They're constantly squashing that, and they're not allowing that. And so they just stay in it. That's one reason I tell people, like when I was teaching high school, is wherever you decide to go to school, just go somewhere else. Don't go to school here. Go somewhere else. I don't care where it is. Just don't be here. Don't stay here in this town and in this place and in this mindset. Experience something else so you can learn who you are. But yeah, it when that world crashes around you, you have no you're lost.
that's one of the things where they're just like, oh, well, it's like common sense. No, it's not common sense.
Nothing is.
Nothing is common sense. And it's like, oh, well, welcome to the real world. Okay, that's great. But
That's condescending.
yeah, like, okay, so I realize I don't believe this, but now I've got
What
this whole plethora of things I've got to choose as a person.
and
Like,
then you question it. For me, at that point you start questioning everything that you like. Oh, okay, so even new stuff, you're like, do I like this because I like this, or do I like this because I've been taught to like this? Or if you're a people pleaser, it's even harder because then you start going, well, this thing, do I like this thing because they like this thing, especially if it's a new something new. Am I really the one experiencing this, or am I just experiencing it because they like it? And so you continue to have,
doubt.
yeah, everything, you doubt everything, you question everything, you become kind of just floundering, grasping, and never and you have a hard time understanding, is this really me? And that can go on for a long time, and it is depressing, it is heartbreaking. 'Cause you never really know. You wanna know, but you don't. Um, and so you had this identity, you grew up with this identity, and it's easy to cling to that. So as soon as that thing shatters,
Keep going. Hold on a second.
alright. Yeah, so as soon as that thing shatters, then you start looking for, and sometimes you don't even know where to look. Like, you've been wrapped up in the church for so long. Okay, so where do you go? Who do you talk to? Who are your friends? And you end up having you can potentially have problems communicating, connecting with your friends, with like your youth group, or depending on what age you're at. But it's you don't know what to talk about. You don't know sometimes, because sometimes a lot of times they're in a different place than you are. They may not, and so suddenly you are questioning everything that you've learned, and they're not, and they're just giving you the same, well, you just need to pray about it. And so you start disconnecting from your friends because you now believe differently, and you're taught that that's not okay. You're taught it's not okay to think differently. So you actually start losing friends, like when your friends are wrapped up in your church, because they may not be questioning those things and you are, and they don't understand why you're questioning. They don't understand where you're at.
You have to make a whole you basically, you're starting over.
You are.
You're basically starting over. I know for me, like well, yeah, because you're a white man, so let's put that out there. So
I
I
am?
was, I know, stop.
Sorry.
I was not allowed to have opinions. I was not allowed to have opinions. I was not allowed to be
Mhm,
smart. I was not allowed to be any of the things that I was just naturally. I was bad because I was a woman. I wasn't allowed to be the most intelligent person in the room. I wasn't allowed to have like to take charge, even though I'm a natural leader. I'm not
mhm.
allowed to, and and I say allowed because that is true. I was not allowed.
Yep,
I was
absolutely.
not allowed. I was not granted any of the freedoms as a person, and I was raised that way,
Mhm.
which was ironic because I was raised in a mostly female household. The only male in my household was my stepdad. There were 4 girls, my grandmother and my mother, and we all
Mhm.
had to follow my stepdad. Now, luckily my stepdad wasn't a complete asshole and my mom was the one that was the problem, but we're going to
That's
get
last
good.
week.
That
If
was
you wanna know
last
more
week.
about that, that's last week,
That was
yeah.
that was mama trauma. But I
Mhm.
was not allowed to be any of those things. And I spent majority of my developmental years from birth to my 20s, a good couple of decades, half my life, being told who I was naturally, who I was as a person was bad. So it developed this self-hatred. It
Mhm.
developed this 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 whole you start like this whole
Lesser than.
duality
Yeah.
of okay, well if I want to find a good man, I've got to be this person. So I've
Mhm.
got to suppress this. So when I finally broke free of the church and I was able to explore, I went the other way. I was like, okay, well, you gonna like mhm.
Mhm. It was a thing. There was
But
some
I did
time.
lose a lot of my friends. I
Mhm.
did lose a lot of
Yep.
my support system or what I thought was my support system and
Until you
how
questioned it.
devastatingly lonely that is. It's not so it's like, "Hey, just be yourself." When you don't know who you are outside of the church, being
Mhm.
yourself is not that easy.
Nope.
When you have been told that who you are is bad.
Yeah. Who you are is lesser than. And whether or n and even though you went through this phase where you swung the other way, that way of thinking of who you are, of what your identity is, that continued with you. You can see where that permeated your relationships and how you interacted with people and your friends, and that's something that you've been trying to break for a while, is that
I
cycle.
and you carry that with you. Even
Yeah.
though I finally started like oh, I've started owning my sexuality. I've
Mhm.
started coming to terms with what all that entails, be it my kinks and my sexual identity, and as a mother and as a wife, as or as a partner, like as a friend, what
Mhm.
the male and female friendship thing. That's
Oh.
the one.
Oh,
That's
yes.
the one.
Oh my
Like,
god.
okay, well, we're gonna go down the list. As a mother, I've been told that I'm not allowed to have a successful career because having a good,
Mhm.
successful career means I'm neglecting my duties as a mother, which then I am
Mhm.
feeling incredibly guilty about. And this is also doesn't just have to do with religious beliefs because I know that there are a lot of a lot of non-religious mothers who
Societal.
feel the same way. So it's a society
Mhm.
thing, but
Yeah.
much it you double down when you're a
Th
Southern Baptist.
That's
It
true.
doubles
You get a
down.
double dose of it.
Yes.
2
And
scoops.
but if and I felt because I did stay at home with my kids when my second daughter was born for an entire year. I was a stay at home mom
Mhm.
and I was miserable. I was miserable. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy my kids, but that was just not my personality. I didn't enjoy just being the mom. I was so much more than that. And I
Mhm.
wanted to be more than that. And I felt so bad. I felt so awful for not want and I had to come to terms with that. I had to come to terms and I still feel that. And my kids are 10 and almost 9. Like
Mhm.
I'm
And
not
you
that
get it
person.
and you get it from you get it from other people.
Yes.
Those well-meaning there's other mothers who are so well-meaning. It does tend to come from, even more so, from the church, from people that are in the church, because the church really pushes that idea of your job as a mother or your job as a woman is to have kids. Your supreme purpose in this life is to pop out little ones. Why? So those little ones can then be indoctrinated in the church and the cycle continues, right? You're taught.
Mhm.
That is insane.
And before I
But
had
that is
kids, I mean, I love my children. I love my
yeah.
children. I do love my children. But before I had kids, I didn't know whether I wanted to have kids. I didn't
Mhm.
know. And that was one of those, well, of course you want to have kids. But,
Right?
but why do I want to have kids? Both my children were surprises. I feel and I sort of I sort of jokingly, and this is a trauma response, I sort of jokingly said that God had to surprise me with my children. Otherwise, I wouldn't have chosen to have kids because I was too fucked up. Like, he had to go, "Woo-hoo, surprise." Like, yay. I don't know. Like, I love
Mhm.
my kids. I love being a mom. I have, and I constantly am fighting that battle of, am I a bad mother? Because I am not devoting 100% of my time and my energy to my husband and my family.
Mhm.
Like, because that's how I was raised. Now,
Yep.
yes, I need to spend time with them. Yes, I need to nurture that relationship. Yes, I believe that. Yes, I believe that relationships are required nurturing and time and quality and all of that. Yes, but I shouldn't feel obligated because when you feel the obligation to do it, that's when you go like, is that really me or is that just how I was raised? Like, so
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah.
I learned as a straight white male, I learned to sexualize all women. Again, not directly to, oh, they're sexual, but the lessons I was taught were based upon the sexualization of women.
Hmm.
For example, you should not be, as a male, especially as a male, and especially when you get married, you should not be in the same room alone with another female. Well, why does that matter? Why is that even a thing? Why does that question it? Well, see, that's where the covert sexualization comes in, because because people will think, there's a whole lot of people will think. No, you will think. Not everyone will think. Don't go triangulating all this. We're taught, no, you can't be in a room with a woman, especially if you're married, or she's married, because something could happen. Really? Something could happen? It's like the only way women are sexual beings, and therefore, if I'm in a room with another woman, then either she's gonna do something to me. I'm gonna, I may be able to. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to fight that off. Something's gonna happen. It means I don't even control my own. She's a sexual creature, and she's gonna come after me, and I'm just gonna have to take it.
I
No,
couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
God,
I could have gone much worse with that. Like, yeah, you're
you
gonna
could have.
take it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna. That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I do have a preference for strong, independent women. Maybe that does have something to do, but I'm not a sub. But I'm not a sub. So you never
But
know.
I think,
Anyway,
yeah, the male and female
mhm,
friendship thing, that was a big one because the laughter
huge.
has filled my soul.
Oh,
You're welcome. Um,
mhm, mhm,
that was a big one, and it's one of those, a lot of people didn't understand why I couldn't be friends with another female because
Yep.
we were always a competition with each other. We were
Mhm.
always it said and like men, I don't know. Personally okay. And now that we are in the world that we are in, and now that I'm out of
Mhm.
the not a sub, you say, maybe a switch. Oh, Bates wants to test that
All right. Well then.
theory. um, I gender gender, it doesn't matter. There are men out there and there are women out there who were not born men or women. There are some people
Mhm.
who are, theys and thems, and they are
Mhm.
just it doesn't matter. Gender shouldn't matter because
Mhm.
that is saying, "Oh, well, that is automatically setting us up. That is saying I can't control my own body. Like
Yeah.
I can't it's obvious. Like that's like whole woman dressing modestly. That's like very victim blaming. That's
That's
very much like
yes.
don't
That's
dress
a
like
whole
that
'nother
and you
one.
won't get assaulted. Don't do that. Or,
Yeah.
I'm provoking.
Don't look at
What?
her. Yeah, the other one is don't look at her. If she's dressing provocatively, don't look at her. You'll be tempted. Meaning you can't control your own urges. There's a whole lot of giving up our we lack
Uh,
control to do anything within the that we were taught.
because we were told to give it to God. Because we were
Yes.
God's
Well, because
servants.
Sky Dom. We were his
We
we were
were we
his
were
sub.
we were controlled by the sky dom. Like
Yeah, the Sky Dom. We are yep. Mhm. Don't cheat on the
um
Sky Dom.
don't and
Mm-mm.
and that's so when we go to that point, when we get to that point where we just go, no, I don't believe this anymore. And we have totally just broken down who we thought we were. And
Mhm.
that's the thing is that we have broken, and you are looking, yeah, you are looking at the pieces
Yep.
of your life, and you're looking at the pieces of who you were, and looking at this, and you're standing there and you're saying, who I don't understand. And then you have to look, and then you really have to start putting that person together. And here's where it becomes difficult. Well, maybe you
Mhm.
can try all the things that you didn't want. Yes, you can try all the things that you wanted to try that you couldn't felt like you can try before. But you
Mhm.
are taught never to fail in the church. You
Oh,
are
yes, yeah.
taught not to
Mhm.
fail. That because you have an instruction manual and you have a list of rules, so there was no making a mistake because it was in black
Mm-mm.
and white and it was very much put before. So trying and failing,
Mhm.
making mistakes was
Mhm.
an automatic failure because if you
Yep.
were automatically trying something new, um
Mhm.
I don't get the construct the way most of them get along. I don't either, Bates. That's maybe why you and I get along so well. And there's
Mhm.
a lot of women like that. There's a
Mhm.
lot of women like that who are just like, I don't want to put up with that crap. Like I don't. I'm like, but that's a gender topic.
Yeah.
um, we were taught not to fail.
Mhm.
Follow these rules, do these rules,
Mhm.
and that's it. So we weren't allowed to experiment. So it's
Mhm.
not as easy of, oh, well, I experimented with this in high school, or I experimented with drugs, or I
Yep.
experimented with sexuality, or I
Yep.
experimented with clothing choices. I experimented with makeup. I did not start experimenting with makeup until about a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
wore browns and I wore some type of mauve, and occasionally my wild makeup
Oh.
was a purple. And
Whew.
on rare occasions when I wanted to do like, a football look or I had a specific costume, then I would try something like I didn't
The red lipstick took a
experiment.
while.
Oh, the red lipstick did take a while. I didn't
That's a whole
experiment because
story.
I
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to. And so it
Yeah.
was ingrained to me. So saying, hey, you get to try all of these things, it's not that simple. It's very overwhelming and very terrifying.
Yep.
Because what if it fails? What if I'm not that
Yeah.
person? What if I try it and I don't like it? What do I do then? Am I stuck? Because you always feel it's permanent. If you try
Mhm.
something,
Yeah.
then you're stuck with it. That's your choice. Like if you try it, that's who you are now.
Yep.
Like it's
Because
not,
remember,
oh,
because
try it and give
every
up.
other thing that you're taught, like about dating and stuff, it's all about This is you date for marriage. This is a permanent thing. You can't you don't have the opportunity to learn who you are. You have to immediately know who you are, which doesn't make any sense.
Right. Like it's not that simple. It's not as simple
Yeah.
as
Well, and that lack of failure, and the inability to, or that you can't fail, that permeates things like marriage. Oh, you can't fail. Marriage
Mhm,
fails. No, you can't fail. You don't get divorced because that's failure. It's God can't look at sin. God can't see sin. Skydom can't see sin. So you can't sin. So you can't even you can't even make a mistake because that's sin. And then that means you're separated from God. And it's like there's no wiggle room here.
mhm.
Even though
Exact
everyone made mistakes, everyone did something. But no, it was all about you can't. So yeah, you didn't try new things. Y-
You were taught that everything was you dated for marriage.
Yep. Yep.
That it was everything was a permanent thing. Everything was you
Mhm.
chose that path and you walk it. Either you're good or you're bad. You can't go back and forth.
Mhm. Yeah. So those lessons stick with you
Sorry,
for even
parenting.
that's okay. Even as you're trying see, and one of the problems that I ran into is even as you're trying to put things together and figure out exactly who you are, you, the glass shattered, but there's still a wall there. There's still that those beliefs, the things that you were raised to understand and to hold as truth, they're still there. And you recognize that yeah, those aren't necessarily that's not really what I believe, but they're still there. They're ingrained deep. It's almost like muscle memory. And so you
Go
start to
ahead.
piece things together. Is that a stop or keep going? Can't tell.
Oh, I'm reading
Oh,
Bates's The Good Book Says You're This, and then you fall short, then another label, and
yes.
that's everyone is going to see you as. Yep.
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 Absolutely. Once, yeah, you make a mistake publicly. That's when it's done.
Skydom gives no wiggle. You right?
Sky don't know. Mm-mm.
Here is where okay. Here is the big one, and here is one
Hey
that I know
Jay.
that everyone in our chat can connect with.
Hmm.
Being kinky motherfuckers, being a
Right?
sexual being,
Oh, if
being
it
a
ain't
sexual
vanilla, it ain't
being.
God. God only approves. Skydom only approves of missionary.
Because the missionary.
Cause missionary.
Because as a woman, I wasn't even allowed to have an orgasm. I mean, because God forbid I have a freaking orgasm. God forbid I
Yep.
want to touch
Hmm.
myself. God forbid I get turned on by anybody other than my husband or, boyfriend
Right?
or whoever. And even then, I'm not allowed to get turned on by my boyfriend. As soon as he puts the ring on
No.
the
No.
finger, apparently that uncorks everything and everything's great, right? Like, what?
Hmm.
Like,
Flip the
okay.
switch. Sex is
So
good now. Sex isn't bad.
right. So when exploring, I don't know about you, but when exploring my kinks and exploring my sexuality, and after Skydom made it
Jay.
feel so good.
So you'd feel bad for. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it.
There are
Whew.
that's another kink that we will go into later. Okay, so um when I was started exploring my sexuality and my kinks, especially when I was starting to explore actually being a bisexual, because I knew I wasn't gay, because you were either one or the other. There was no
Hmm.
and. And especially when you're raised in the church, there's no and. There is black and there is white and there is yes and there is no and there is
Hmm.
good and bad. There is no and. You can't
Yep.
like two things at once. So
Yep.
I
Can't serve two
question
masters.
no. Yes. So I knew I liked guys. I knew I liked men,
Hmm.
but I also liked women. So I started wondering, do I like guys? And that was the big one. Do I like men because the church told me I liked men and I'm
Hmm.
really gay? Am I really a lesbian?
Yep.
Or am I a straight woman who just
It's confused.
who just has a kink for women or a fetish for women. Like that was one of
Yeah.
those ones who just sort of likes them as a fantasy type thing,
Hmm.
like And it really
It's a
that was one of
phase.
the it's a phase. It's a phase. Like,
Mhm.
I did my experimenting in college and high school, and now it's over.
It's a
No, and then I
phase.
really
Yeah.
had to sit with that. And that was one that I
Mhm.
struggled with a lot, especially after being taught at the church that I wasn't allowed to be both. I wasn't allowed to like both. And I really came to the term with
Mhm.
going, "No, I am bisexual. I like them
Mhm.
both. And it's okay to like them both. It's okay to think, want to molest everyone." Like.
Is it molesting if they ask for it?
Well, that's true. I'm still
Mhm.
exploring my sex. It is a vast world. It is very vast and it's very
Yeah.
scary. But I had to start with my sexuality. That was the big one that I had to address
Mhm.
because I was a very sexually open person to begin with, but my sexuality is the one that I struggled with. My kinks were actually easier for me because I'm just that person. But my
Mhm.
sexuality was the one where the church influenced me the most. And coming out and really being saying I am a bisexual woman is hard. And no, I'm not just a lesbian waiting, just sitting with a man, or I'm not just a straight woman going through a phase. I am bisexual, period. End of story. It is not a phase. It is not me sort of wishy washy. It is who I
Mhm.
am. That is what I like. And that's
Mhm.
okay to have not either or, but and.
Sometimes "and" is a fantastic choice.
I'm going to try and see if I like it. See?
Yep. Yep. So for me, kinks were a problem. Oh yeah, because when I grew up, sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad. Okay, by the way, you said some words with a person in front of God and a few other people, and now all of a sudden sex is good. But you're supposed to flip a switch. So I had that struggle first. But then the person I married grew up Pentecostal, so they had some of the same traumas and problems that I did. Um, all of a sudden, sex is supposed to be good, and but then it was the whole, well, what variations, what kink, like the idea of exploring that was not even what.
We're a triceratops
All
onesie
right.
and get baits all sorts of feels.
Oh my god. Wow. so,
So kinks.
so kinks. So trying to explore that was a nightmare. Was it though it was full of guilt and shame of, well, that I can't do that. It was, it's missionary or nothing, because no one's ever talked about that. You're supposed to all of a sudden know it or figure it out, especially when both people have the same trauma, when both people have the same upbringing. And one of y'all supposed to just figure this thing out together. No, you're set up to fail. It's impossible. It's almost impossible not to fail. I failed, and by fail, I mean I made bad choices. I didn't make good choices. We ended up in a very unhealthy situation because we never talked about it. But the idea of exploring kinks, and the few times where I kind of did, her reaction was really negative, to the point of shaming me in most cases. So now, not only did I feel shame myself, but I got shamed because I was now my spouse, who I'm the only person I'm supposed to do this with, is now shaming me for it. And that sent me into a spiral that I didn't recover from until 10 years later, at least.
Until Dinks with Kinks.
Until Dinks with Kinks. Getting divorced and meeting y'all and others,
You people.
and you people, y'all, this our audience, the people that I know, y'all are wonderful people. It wasn't until that time that I was like, oh, like this is normal. I can. It's okay to feel, to like these things. It's okay to explore these things. Oh yeah, thrives on shame. Absolutely. Use guys. Use guys. Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
but that's the thing is the shame. And so many we talk so much about the the church shaming us, but that's where the indoctrination comes in from a young age, because they initially shame you through the developmental years until you learn that just becomes second nature. They don't have to do anything to you anymore. They don't have to say anything to you
It's already
anymore.
ingrained.
it's already ingrained. So you self
Mhm.
shame, and they make you on. It's automated. It's automated.
Yeah.
It comes to
Oh
the
my
point
it
where the
is.
shame is automated, and no matter what you do, it's just automatic shame. It's automatic guilt. It's so that's why the indoctrination period. And so when you break free from that, and you're like,
Mhm.
I don't know what to do, because you're breaking that automated response. And then when you get that
Yes.
automated response, you have to go, is this, do I really not like this, or is it an automated response? Is it my
Choosing
trauma? Is this a
it
traumatic response?
is this how I feel or is this trauma? And
And
it's
that's a
hard
question.
to distinguish, and sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
blended. Yeah, and so even though you've chosen to break that automatic shame and guilt, doesn't make it go away. It just means that you recognize that that's what's happening. You still gotta deal with it. That's so hard.
I I am, yeah. I think we've
Yeah.
all, I can't say for sure, but no shame to my game. I'm weird because my automated shame machine is broken.
Nice.
And that's, I mean, and that's, some people respond that way. And
Mhm.
that's how that their brain just goes, all right, F it, like that's
Yep.
fine. Behind the curtain is just someone beating it. Oh my
Big old
God, I've
broom.
just had this like thought of the wizard, instead of like
Yes.
pulling on the levers, he's pulling on himself watching. I can't. What?
Did you just do that with Wizard of Oz? The
I
wizard
did.
pay no attention to the man whacking it behind the curtain? Is that where you just went?
He's just watching. He's being a voyeur. It's fine.
He was the
He's
Skydom is voyeur.
Mm. Like, I
Mhm.
can see it, but I don't feel it. I've been told that that's not good either. It's that's a trauma response as well.
Mhm.
Um because and everybody like responds to their trauma differently. And even
Yeah.
like Sean and I have very different traumatic responses and coping
To
mechanisms to similar
similar
situations.
things. Yes. Mhm.
So
Yep.
it's all individual. And yeah. So whereas in he shuts down,
Yes.
I lash out. It's very,
Mhm.
just depends on who you are and your personality. And so there's
Mine yeah.
go ahead.
Mhm. I was say
Yours is what?
mine comes from so you go aggressive. You become big, loud. The Filipino thunder comes out, right? We saw it. Some of us saw it. It's okay. Oh, it was totally justified. Um, but I was taught to be the good Christian boy. Anger was not a good thing because Jesus didn't get angry except for that one time. But I was taught to be a good Christian boy. Good Christian boys don't get angry. We don't get mad. We don't lash out. So I was taught to repress everything. Just push it on down. Just cram it. So that has continued to permeate with me. So I learned everything for me. It was all about being passive aggressive. That's why I respond that way.
What?
I know,
No.
right? I have slammed many a cabinet door in my day. I know,
um,
hard to believe, isn't it?
I know, crazy. That's crazy. Crazy, man. Crazy.
Crazy.
Um, but and honestly, community audience, I know for me, I'm still trying to figure out who I am and what I believe, and
Hmm.
how I feel, and trying to reconstruct who I am, and put put myself together, and what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not willing to accept, and be okay with failing, and be okay with changing directions. Oh yeah, the Filipino Thunder. Yeah, that was my nickname in
Hmm.
college. I used to lose my shit all the time. Like it was, and I was loud. I would never really like get violent, but I was loud. I was
You were afraid for
loud.
your life. You were afraid. She never
I
was
was
doing it, but you.
I would
Whoo!
never like get physical. I would never like, but I was so loud, and that's how I
She come
became the
at you.
Filipino Thunder. Like it's like you
Hmm.
knew I was angry because you could hear me from miles away. um.
We love our roogs.
Oh, thanks. It there are things going on in the world today, and dude, because I'm there are
Mhm.
things going on in the world today, and we're not going to bring them up because they are controversial and everybody has their own opinions about them.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of those things. A lot of those things, such as in human rights. Where do you stand? And we're just going to leave it at human rights.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, that also has you questioning what you believe and how you
Mhm.
feel about that. And maybe you haven't, and sometimes it's right when you're hit with it, when you're hit with oh, well, now I have to make this choice on how I feel about it,
Mhm.
versus giving some time. But is it possible? And you have to ask yourself that question and take yourself out. And how do I feel about it? Can you be Christian and still support these human rights?
Mhm.
Um, and those human rights are, it's a blanket statement. It is not about one specific thing in general. Just how do you feel about those human rights? And that's also very much an I know for Sean and I both, because we've had discussions about it. We've had that really had us questioning, do we really believe this? Do we really believe certain things? Or do we
Mhm.
not? And how, and can you believe in both? Can you do both? Can you walk both?
Mainstream Christianity, or what we've come to believe mainstream Christianity is, it says you can't do this, you can't be this, you can't believe this, so is it possible to be gay or be bisexual and be a Christian? That is a massive fault, or conflict to deal with. If you're Christian and you realize you're gay, can you reconcile the two? Most people say no, absolutely you can't. My parents, no, absolutely you can't. And that becomes a big problem. Um,
Yeah. And it's just the fundamentalist way we were raised is,
yes.
and I think that I know for me that I understand that that's where a lot of the question comes from, and I had to sit with it. And that's what, anything when you're coming out of this identity crisis, because even if you weren't raised in the church, and I've seen like I've read a lot of articles and seen a lot of videos and all this stuff about how sometimes you take on things as your personality when they're really trauma responses and coping mechanisms. And so
Yes.
when you get to that moment where your world is turned upside down, the fruit basket is turned over, the pieces of your entire identity and your life are
Mhm.
laying in front of you, and now you have to put it back together, or reconstruct who you are, or discover who you are as a true, the core of who you are. Sit with it. Don't just I or like for me, that's just, I had to sit with it. I had to sit and go, all right, we're gonna try this and we're gonna do this. And some people just like, here, let's throw some shit in a bowl and stir it up and see what
There you
happens.
go.
And I love
Mhm.
those people. I'm like, can I be like you? I want to be like you
Yeah.
because I don't have that. But it's hard. It's hard. I don't know about you, Sean, but I know that it took me a very long time to really come to terms with who I am. And I'm still I'm not. Like I had to deal with my trauma responses and really find
Mhm.
out like what
I'm
is
still
part of my
mhm.
personality and what's it actually a automated response, you know?
Yeah. I am still dealing with that. Not only am I still dealing with that, but I had a recent conversation in which that became a part of. I was talking to my mother the other day, and we are talking about things that she does. Like, she always sends Easter cards. Um, she always sends money. There's things that she does. And I said, "But mom, I appreciate the thought. I understand that and I appreciate it. But it's not something that you have to do. The cards don't mean a lot to me. The money, I don't need the money. You're retired. You don't need to send me money. Well, that's just what I do. That's just how I am. It's part of my personality. I went, it's part of your personality. Really? That you don't want. I can't. And she followed it up with, "I'm too old. I can't change." And then, "You wouldn't want me to change, would you?" And I went, "There's a whole lot to unpack here. There's a lot. I don't have time for this." I didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, wow, I don't think I have the time right now to unpack that with my mother. But yeah, but that's very well where I could be. I could have been based upon, if my life hadn't changed. But that's where a lot of people are. Is what is my personality? Like you said, I'm still figuring out what is my personality versus what is me. What do I like versus what do I like because of someone else? Because I'm a
When
people
they
pleaser.
say when they say you do you. I
Uh
don't know, you
huh.
do you. And you're like,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
What?
I don't
I'm
know
not.
if anybody's
Yeah.
like, you do you. What I you do you. What does
Um.
you do you mean?
What?
I don't
Yeah. First of all, are you? First of all, are you being? What's your intention behind that statement? Because that
like
can come different couple different ways. You do you, boo. Yeah,
you
yeah,
do you boo, like
yeah,
you do you. No,
yeah.
I don't care. What you do you.
Uh huh.
I'm gonna do me. You do you. And you're like,
What is that?
I
Yeah.
think the hardest thing that I had to break away from the church,
Mhm.
that the church literally ingrained into me, was being okay with this is what I want. This is how I want to do it. And it doesn't matter what anybody else wants and what anybody else thinks, because this is what's right for me.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
I would often be like, oh, well, I'm a bad person if this is what's best for me, but this is what's best for them. So I'll do for them,
Mhm.
I'll whatever for them,
Mhm.
but it's not good for
We
me. My
Yeah.
boundary. This is my boundary, but they need something from me for mental or emotional or physical or whatever. They need this from me, even though this breaks my boundary and this breaks my
Mhm.
what I need. I'm going to go ahead and just do it because I don't want to be a bad person.
'Cause you wanna help, right? Because well, you're taught in the church that you have to help, you have to give, you have to sacrifice. Everything life is a sacrifice. So if
Oh,
you're
Krispy
not
Kreme donuts. I got distracted
oh,
by the
oh, don't
Krispy Kreme donuts.
what? Krispy Kreme? Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you're not giving of yourself, if you're not sacrificing, then you're not a good person. You really should sacrifice. You should be sacrificing for them. And that's not a healthy perspective.
This is what I need and I
Yes.
want.
And
And
that's and
that's
that is
okay.
okay. I'm fighting that still. I'm fighting the whole this is what I need. My needs and my wants, I have sacrificed that for so long as I can remember, especially in my marriage. And it drove me into a depression. It drove me into it killed the marriage because I never conveyed that. Um and I
I
still
did
struggle with it.
not learn about boundaries. I did not learn about consent.
Yeah.
And I did not learn about saying they don't like that. They don't need that. They don't want that.
Mhm.
And respect for that. Because if they loved me, they would do what I need
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
going,
Mhm.
oh, well, if they don't like that and they don't want to do that, then there must be a reason. So I need to figure out where I stand with that.
Mhm.
It's taking personal fucking responsibility. Period. End of story. Like being my own person and taking personal responsibility and not blaming Satan and not blaming the devil. That fucking sucks because then you have no one to blame
Yes.
but yourself, and that fucking
Yep.
sucks. And then you realize
Yep.
that I am Satan.
Does that make you the fire
Mm,
sub? Skydom and the fire sub?
I don't think Satan would be a sub.
No, no, no.
No,
So you think you
no.
have Skydom and a fire dom?
I feel like Satan would be a switch.
I can probably see that. Yeah, yeah. Isn't he on South Park? Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Um, being
So,
able to
wrapping
communicate.
up.
Yeah, we say all that to say this.
You're never going to know who you are. Even if you're not in the religious call, even if you don't have that religious trauma, if you were raised in any type of controlling environment that has told
Mhm.
you, and this is true with like you see all those people that they were expected to go to a certain school and do a certain thing, even if it's not religious, and go to a certain college and do a
Yep.
certain major, and their
Yep.
expectations, it's an expectation. And
Yes.
anyone who breaks that expectation, decides for themselves to be their own person, it's an
Mhm.
identity crisis. And it's one that people struggle with. And it's one that people, it's not easy. And that's a very, very hard part. And
Yes.
to overcome all of that, it takes a lot of work, and it does take a lot of therapy. And it takes a lot
Yes.
of learning how to develop the tools that you need to,
Yes.
because
If
some of those things will never go away, but you can learn how to navigate those things.
Mhm.
So if you don't have one, if you haven't gotten help, if you don't have those tools, find yourself find yourself somebody who can help you. And if you can't, there's this wonderful organization, one of
Mhm.
many, called Mental Health America, and they have a screening tests on their website for all different types of, if you think you have depression, if you think you have anxiety, they have several different screening tests, and they will help you get in touch with a provider that can help you, and they will give you materials and those things you need. So with that, we have a
Mhm.
fundraiser. May is Mental Health Awareness
Woo!
Month. Yes, so we have a charity fundraiser that we're doing for the entire month of May. So we still have another 15 days. Thank you for those who have already donated. Thank you to those who have purchased
Yes. You guys are awesome.
some Fight Against the Sadness merchandise. If you'll type in the link in the
The you
bio.
want your link tree or you want the website? Your boutique.
Do both. Just do both. Just do both.
Okay.
So if you purchase any of the Fight Against the Sadness merchandise, the proceeds go to mental health, and we make a donation to Mental Health America. Any um donation that you make from on my PayPal, Venmo, Square Cash, any donation you make in the month of May to me goes straight to Mental Health America. And that at $15 helps somebody get, helps Mental Health America get the help that somebody needs. And it's really important because for those who have not been there, or for those who have been there and know the struggle, know how important it is to get the help, and get
Mhm.
and develop and learn the tools that you need, because it can be a very, very dark place.
It's
Very
okay to
dark
ask for help.
place. And it is okay to ask for help, and it is okay to feel that, but it's not okay to give in. And we
Mhm.
want people and everyone to know that, and try to get them the help that they need, where they need it. So if you don't have enough money to buy merchandise, great. Donate $5 to my Venmo, Square Cash, whatever. That
Mhm.
$5 still goes a very long way.
Yep.
And it's something that is very important to me. It's something that's very important to Sean. And so, Mental Health Awareness Month, we are
Yep.
doing everything we can to get people the help that they need. So
We know how it can feel helpless when you have this identity crisis and you're floundering and you feel helpless and you don't know where to go. So find find someone. There are people out there. Find someone, do this. And if you are in a good place, please help out others who may not be in a good place. We were all there at one
Great
point.
Big Bear. Now that's how you do a segue.
Exactly, right?
So spread the word. Spread the word.
Yep.
You're doing awesome. Asking for help makes a difference. Reach
Yes.
out, please.
Yes.
Yes. reach out.
We
Even if it's something like we are not professionals, but we can certainly help you. Even if you
Mhm.
go, I don't know where to start. Even
Yep.
if that's what you say. Even if all you go, I know I need help, but I don't know where to start because I am in this headspace and you just are
Mhm.
overwhelmed by these emotions and these thoughts and these intrusive
Mhm.
feelings and thoughts. That's fine. That's the first step is saying, I need help.
Need
I
help.
don't know where to start. So that person
Yep.
can be like, I've got you. I will help you.
Yep.
Let me get somebody that can help you.
Absolutely.
And so yes. Um and so yeah, mental health awareness months, be
Mhm.
there for the people. Mental Health America. I actually have some friends who work for the a greater area Houston Mental Health America, and they do wonderful work. And so let's go back to basics, especially after the pandemic. A lot of us are starting to feel very different. And so we're just having to come to terms with that. So getting the help we need and getting those the help that they need is important. So
Absolutely.
Nana and PepPep hit where there's in listening ears, y'all. Yeah. So
We do. We got 'em.
share, make a collection, collect at your work, and then donate to us. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't like it. Just let's try and get some of these people. Let's get these people the help they need. So
Yeah,
and with
absolutely.
that, happy Sunday. 2 weeks
Yes.
from now, 2 weeks from now, y'all know what
2
2 weeks from now
weeks.
is? 2 weeks from now, you know what that is?
Mhm.
That would be our
Arugs inv
potluck.
Arugs invades CLT.
I invade Charlotte and it's Nana and PepPep's potluck. And don't think I'm having
Right.
some deviled eggs and some green bean
Mhm.
casserole.
Oh, deviled eggs. Mm-mm-mm.
So, if you are coming to the potluck in our community, please reach out to Sean and I so that we can
Yes.
get a head count and we can also get you the details of,
Oh,
yeah,
I need a
like the address,
spreadsheet for the food. Yeah. I
what you're bringing, that type of stuff.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
contact
The
us.
deets.
Give so we can get you the deets. I'm on all the social medias at Nerd Mom Ace. So, yeah. And that's it
Can't wait to
for
see you guys.
Sunday.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know. We're
absolutely.
excited.
Happy Sunday.
Happy
Enjoy the rest of your
Sunday.
weekend.
Yeah.
Is that it? Are we good? Are we out yet?
I think we're good. I think we're
I
good.
think I think we're
Are we
good.
good? I think we're good. Are we good? All right.
We're good. Did you give 110%?
I gave 90. What else do you
Not
want from
what?
me?
90? All right,
90. You
fine.
know what? You'll take it and
Fine.
you'll like it.
I'll take it. Oh yeah.
All right. All right. Bye
Bye
everyone.
everybody.